Hello there, guys. Very not long ago, not long ago, me and Ben reacted to the trailer, season 5 for The Boys, and now we're gonna react to a recap of all 4 seasons together. It's an hour-long video. It's very long, so we've got our snacks, got our tea. Ben, do you have your snacks? Do you have everything ready?
I do.
All right. So, without further ado, let's get right into it.
For Huey Campbell, life was simple.
Okay.
A boring job at an electronics
simple.
store, modest plans,
He
and a
has a
girl
simple
he
son.
loved, Robin. But in a world with superheroes,
She's gonna die, bro. She's gonna get
simplicity
cooked.
is an illusion about to be shattered. As Homelander and Queen Maeve pose for the cameras after stopping a robbery,
love him, bro. He's a hero.
reality hits Huey at the speed of sound.
about to die.
In the blink of an eye,
There
the
we go.
speedster A-Train plows through Robin. A-Train blasts right through Robin without
Oh,
slowing
no.
down.
She got ledged.
While Huey's world was falling apart, Annie January's, an
Annie, bro.
idealistic young woman from Iowa, was about to begin with a pure-hearted speech about wanting to truly save
Wow,
the world.
that's so
She wins her
epic.
spot in the Seven, the most powerful superhero team on the planet. Her dream comes true, but reality
Black
has
Noir
a
is my
price.
idol.
Behind the scenes at Seventh Tower, the dream turns into a nightmare. The aquatic hero, the deep corners her, and
The
the
Deep,
fantasy
bro.
of saving the world is crushed under the weight
Yeah,
of
he's
a
a weirdo.
disgusting ultimatum. Her
I will know
career
he's rather
and her
fucking
body.
octopus.
In shock,
Please
she gives
suck
in.
me.
Across town,
Fucking weirdo.
bought international.
Yeah, he likes
rights by
octopuses
Huey
more anyway,
Silence
so.
with $45,000. He refuses, but his father warns him, "You can't beat these guys." That's when a mysterious man who
I love
reeks
that.
of trouble and vengeance finds him. Billy Butcher. He reveals
Oh, yeah.
the brutal
Yeah,
truth.
he's a real
A-Train
FBI
was
agent.
laughing about Robin's death. Butcher offers Huey a chance to fight back. A risky plan to
Ooh.
plant a bug in the heart of Vought. The plan works, but the victory is short-lived. Butcher abandons him, and Huey
Oh,
is
cute.
ambushed by the invisible hero, Translucent.
Oh, yeah,
A brutal
he was gonna
beatdown
fucking
seems inevitable
die here.
until Butcher returns. In an act of desperation, Huey causes a short
I fucking
circuit
love
that
this
takes
scene
down
when
the
they fucked him.
indestructible hero. It's then that the final truth is revealed. Butcher isn't with the government.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
now, the two of them have one of the most powerful superheroes in the world unconscious in their trunk. The
Bro got
tables have
blasted
turned,
with
and they
lightning
have
from a
no
cable. I
idea
don't
how
think
to
he's-
survive it. The problem with kidnapping a superhero, they wake up. With sirens approaching and a conscious Translucent in the trunk, panic sets in. Butcher takes his hostage to the only man crazy enough to help, Frenchie, a
Oh, yeah,
criminal
this
with
guy.
more of a knack for chaos than common sense. The problem? Translucent has a tracker. The clock is ticking. Meanwhile,
Take
at
it out.
Vought, Madeline Stillwell notices one of her assets is missing
Fucking
and orders
Ashley,
a
bro.
quiet search. But she has bigger problems. Homelander, to protect her from blackmail involving a secret called Compound V, secretly
Mm-hmm.
orchestrates a plane accident that kills the mayor of Baltimore. A subtle reminder that for Homelander, human lives are just collateral
Bro, he
damage.
doesn't
Far
give a
away,
fuck.
Starlight has her first patrol, a PR stunt alongside her aggressor, the Deep. She confronts him, making it clear that the game has changed. She won't be a victim anymore.
You
Ooh.
ever touch me?
She's so tough.
Her disillusionment with the facade of heroism only grows. Back at the hideout, Butcher's crew faces a dilemma. How do you kill a man with diamond-hard
gonna
skin?
blow his ass
Frenchie's
up.
answer is as brilliant as it is sick. If you can't pierce it from the outside, you attack from the inside. A C4 bomb, straight up his rectum. At the
Fucking hell.
exact moment of detonation, the worst
She did it on
happens.
Battlefront.
Homelander arrives, his X-ray vision sweeping the building. Panic, desperation. Frenchie triggers a plan B, an explosion in another part of the city to create a distraction. It works.
Genius.
Homelander leaves. Cornered, Translucent tries one last mind game with Huey, promising he can just walk away. But Huey doesn't see a hero. He sees Robin's ghost, and with a click, he presses the button. Translucent is gone, but the blood is now on Huey's hands, and there's no going back.
You're gonna
How do you
shit on
clean
him
up
as
the
well.
remains of an exploded superhero? That's the question nobody ever teaches you how to answer. With a literally bloody mess on their hands, Butcher recruits an old ghost from his crew.
Mother's milk, bro.
Mother's Milk, a man who swore he had left this crazy life behind. But the news that they took down one of the seven is a call he can't ignore. Meanwhile,
They
a
actually,
genuine
like,
act of
destroyed
heroism
the
by
fucker.
Starlight, saving a woman from an assault, goes viral. Vaught wastes no time and turns her bravery into a sexualized product,
Oh,
forcing her
of
into a
course.
skimpy costume under threat of being fired. With each passing day, the line between hero and puppet grows thinner. The boy's next target is A-Train, and the bait is his secret girlfriend, Popclaw. Huey infiltrates
This
her
fucking
apartment,
weirdo.
and the hidden camera captures the confession that changes everything. A-Train was high on Compound V, a steroid for soups. Robin's death wasn't an accident. It was the result of an addiction. The plan now is to steal the drug during the speedster's big race.
Right.
Huey, in disguise, even gets Starlight's number, a spark of normality amidst the chaos. But the mission fails. The Compound V isn't there. However, the tables turn again. Publicly dumped by A-Train after the race, Popclaw, in a drug-fueled rage, accidentally kills her landlord.
Oh,
Butcher sees
amazing.
a perfect opportunity. He now has leverage to blackmail her and force her to be his informant. Little do they know that across
fucking
town,
A-Train.
Translucent's remains are
Holy
found.
shit.
Whoever it was,
It was a zinc box, bro.
they just declared war.
As the boys discover Vought's secret weapon, Homelander declares
Hey, you remember
war
that scene
on
when
their
it-
invisible hunters.
Homelander asks
The hunt
Deep
has begun.
what it was
Armed with the
in.
new
It
information
was a zinc
about
box, and
Compound
he's
V,
like, "What
Billy
can I not
Butcher
see through?"
baits
And
the
Deep just
CIA.
doesn't know what the fuck to say.
Popclaw's lead takes the team to a shocking discovery: a mysterious pharaoh woman locked in a cage in
Oh,
a
yeah,
restaurant
fucking-
basement. Ignoring orders, Frenchie frees her, and all hell breaks loose before she escapes into
Oh
the
my
shadows.
God, this was
Far
insane.
away in the skies, the charade of heroism reaches its darkest peak.
Nutcase woman.
Homelander and Queen Maeve intercept the hijacked flight.
Oh, this
but after
fucking
their
scene was
victory,
awesome,
a
the
fatal
fucking
mistake by
music at the end of the
Homelander
episode.
dooms the plane. With no way to save everyone, his choice is brutal and clear: abandon hundreds of passengers to their deaths to protect the Seven's perfect image. The image is worth more than innocent lives. May this force to be an accomplice to the crime.
This was
to
fucking
move
epic.
forward, Butcher uses the only connection they have to the Seven, Huey. During a meeting with Starlight, he plants a bug, but guilt gnaws at him when he discovers that Translucent, whom he helped kill, had a son. Meanwhile,
Well,
Homelander ties up
who cares?
loose ends, ordering A-Train to silence Popclaw forever by staging an overdose. The team tracks the mysterious woman, and Frenchie tries to make a connection, but A-Train gets there first. In a desperate maneuver, they use the crowd as a shield and manage to capture her. At the
Okay.
plane crash site, the lie is broadcast to the world. Homelander and Maeve, their faces marked by rehearsed grief, blame bureaucracy for the
He's
tragedy,
so sad looking at
using
him.
the ashes of innocence to sell the government on the need for soups in the military.
If they let us into the military, then this will never happen again.
Sure,
that is
buddy.
my solemn promise to you.
They didn't just get away with mass murder, they turned it into a marketing opportunity. With a super terrorist in their
Amazing.
basement, the team is more lost than ever.
Super
While
terrorist,
Frenchie tries and fails to connect with the silent prisoner, Vought organizes its next big show, the Believe Expo, a Christian event led by the
Oh my God, you
elastic
remember that-
hero
that weirdo right
Ezekiel.
there, bro.
Intel suggests he is the key to Compound V's
That guy was
distribution.
fucking disgusting.
The plan, Huey will accompany Starlight to the event and use a compromising video to blackmail Ezekiel. Far from the stage, Homelander reveals another layer of his psychopathy. Feeling ignored by Madeline Stillwell, his obsession with her becomes dangerously unstable.
Oh my
He
God,
isn't an
this fucking
employee,
weirdo.
he's a predator who sees her as his property. At the expo,
Amazing.
Butcher's plan works. Cornered, Ezekiel sings, Compound V is being shipped to hospitals across the country, disguised as baby vaccines. The truth is darker than they imagined. Heroes aren't born, they're made. On
Wow.
the main stage, Starlight throws the script in the trash. In a fiery speech, she calls out Vaught's hypocrisy and reveals she was a victim of assault, dropping a bombshell right in the middle of the
Ooh.
company's marketing spectacle.
The Deep's
Following
about to get
lead,
cooked.
Butcher and Mother's Milk
Uh-huh.
confirm the
Deep fried
terrifying
squid.
truth in a neonatal
likes him
ward.
anyway, bro.
At
He's
the
a
same
weirdo.
time, Frenchie discovers he's being hunted by Black Noir. He decides to free the prisoner, but it's too late. The attack is swift and
Oh, Black
silent,
Noir is actually
but
so
just
cool.
when all seems lost, and it truly is, she tries to fight back.
He's such a
But Black
chatty
Noir
guy.
shows no mercy. In
I
the end,
know.
she's left there.
Yeah, well, he
clinging
thinks she
to
killed
life.
her, but she
Now
can
they
fucking
know
regenerate.
everything. Vought doesn't find heroes; it creates them in labs.
Yeah.
And the living proof
Alright,
is
I'm-
in their
I'm opening my
basement.
chocolate,
A
bro.
super terrorist named Kimiko. While Vought tries to contain Starlight's
Ah.
crisis with a pathetic reality show, she refuses to be the company's puppet. She
Alright.
confronts Stillwell and gives her an ultimatum.
Well,
Either
Stillwell
her
likes to
abuser
give
is
Commander
punished,
milk,
or
so-
she exposes everything. For damage control, Vought sacrifices the Deep, forcing him into a humiliating public apology before exiling him to Ohio. To understand
Fucking Ohio,
Kimiko,
bro.
Frenchie convinces the team to find Mesmer, a washed-up telepath that Vought discarded. But Butcher, suspicious of Huey's romance with Starlight, drags him to a support group for victims of soups, a cruel lesson to remind him what happens when you get too close
Amazing.
to the enemy, and an echo of his own wife Becca's disappearance. Mesmer reads Kiniko's
Oh, this
mind,
guy.
and the truth is tragic. She and her brother were abducted and forced to become child soldiers, before Vought used her
Womp.
as a guinea pig to
Womp
create the
womp.
perfect supervillain,
Killed her parents, kidnapped her and her brother, forced them to be soldiers.
justifying the need for their military heroes. But
amazing.
revenge has a price. Desperate to get back in the spotlight, Mesmer betrays the team, delivering photos of their faces directly
course.
to Homelander.
Doesn't
Holding all
Homelander
the
kill this
cards,
guy?
Butcher takes the dossier to
probably
the
does.
CIA. Susan Rayner agrees
The
to
CIA, oh yeah, the
investigate
CIA is
Vought,
gonna
but
do a
she
lot.
freezes when she hears Homelander's name. He's too powerful, untouchable. Back at the safe house, Butcher, consumed by his own hatred, lies to the only family he has left. He tells them the CIA rejected the deal. From now on, there are no rules. rebels, and the war against Vought has just become personal.
Insane.
It all started at a Christmas party. A painful flashback shows Billy Butcher and his wife Becca happy until Homelander
You know this guy
enters
played
the
in
scene. His
Thor
interest in
Ragnarok.
her is immediate, predatory. It was there, with a smile and a
Who
job
was that
offer,
fucking
that the seed of tragedy
guy?
I don't know.
was planted in the
I know.
present.
Yeah,
He's been in quite a few
Deepens,
things.
but the weight
Yeah.
of his
I know the
secrets
actor well.
begins to crack her trust. Meanwhile, the deep
Hella recruited
exile
him in
in
the-
Ohio proves to be a purgatory of
That guy looks like
humiliation,
Macron,
and
bro.
A-Train's addiction to Compound V is destroying his body. He knows he's dying, but he can't stop. The
Well,
tension
don't be addicted to drugs,
explodes
then,
when
bro.
Homelander gathers the Seven. With a sadistic smile,
Monkey.
he exposes everything. Starlight's boyfriend is one of Translucent's killers. He calls her a traitor, but in a shocking turn,
Wow.
Queen Maeve defends her, painting her as a lovesick fool, not a conspirator. The lie saves her, for now.
Aw.
The only thing she's guilty of
Wumpy
is
wump.
being fucking stupid.
At the hideout,
Wow.
Huey tries to leave,
That's-
confessing that he
okay.
loves Annie, but the drama is cut short by a call. A-Train has his father. It's a trap. The boys' ambush turns into a brutal confrontation, and Starlight arrives to save Huey,
Oh,
only
wow.
to be gravely injured by an A-Train fueled by vengeance and Compound V. The fight ends with the speedster on the ground, the victim of a massive heart attack. Driven by suspicion,
fucking got cooked
Homelander
by a heart
confronts
attack.
his creator, Dr. Vogelbaum,
Ah,
and discovers the
bitch.
earth-shattering truth.
Vogelbaum.
Becca didn't die. She had his son, but the birth was traumatic and they both died, or so he was told. At the same
Oh.
time, the boys are surrounded, cornered. Butcher makes one last desperate call to the CIA.
Bro, they're not
Help
gonna
is
do
on the
anything.
way, but with a condition that could break
Useless.
his soul. Homelander is off limits.
Yep.
Vaught has won. With A-Train in a coma and the boys in the crosshairs, Homelander uses the terrorist threat he himself created to become a war hero,
Oh, nice.
securing the military contract he so desperately
I think he
wanted.
means
The
war
message
criminal.
is clear. The world needs them, and Madeline Stillwell uses this victory to force the government's hand. For Butcher, the news is a gut punch. The deal with the CIA is off.
Yeah.
Vought is now part of national security, and they are officially the
Right.
most wanted men in the country. Rayner's advice is simple: run. Mother's Milk and Frenchie prepare to disappear, but Butcher, blinded by revenge, abandons them to their fate, prioritizing his final score.
Get Soulja
Disgusted
Boy.
by his selfishness, Huey finally leaves him. Meanwhile, Annie confronts her mother and discovers the lie that has defined her life. She wasn't born with powers.
Yeah,
She
fuck
was
you, Mom.
injected with Compound V as a baby. Now alone, Huey turns to the only person he can trust.
Not so.
She's not
Together,
special, what
they
a
devise
shame.
a plan
She's
to
just
rescue their friends.
a monkey.
Homelander, in turn, confronts Stillwell. He knows she lied about
Where's the
his
milk?
son. He confesses to creating the soup terrorists, not as a hero, but as a bored god playing with mortals. Huey turns himself in to free his team from the inside, and with the help of Starlight's powers, they blast their way to freedom. But
Oh.
Butcher is already at his endgame. He straps Stillwell with explosives,
Oh my God,
waiting
this
for
was fucking
Homelander,
insane.
the final showdown. He believes he's found the hero's only weakness, but he's wrong. By forcing Stillwell to admit she's afraid of him, Homelander proves he cares for no one.
Yeah, look, yeah, there, yeah. Nice.
Butcher's leverage is
She
gone.
got
He
cooked.
wakes up on a perfect suburban lawn.
Fucking hell.
Before him, an impossible sight.
Suburban.
Becca is alive.
American.
Oh
And
my
next to
God,
her, a
you-
young boy.
you what?
Homelander appears
Suburban.
with a sick smile, revealing the final truth. Turns out, I'm the dad. The game isn't over. It has just reached a
Really?
nightmare.
Yeah, you're the dad, so you're gonna throw your son off the fucking
The
roof.
tables have turned. With Butcher missing, the boys are no longer the hunters. They're the hunted, branded as
Insane.
international terrorists. They become Vaught's #1 targets, which is now closing a golden deal with the US government. Vought, the master of manipulation, doesn't even blink. They turn Translucent's death into a national spectacle, with Homelander shedding
Brother,
crocodile tears
he's not even
and
in that
inventing a supervillain to take the blame. Meanwhile, the boys are at rock bottom, hiding in the filthy basement of one of Frenchie's contacts.
Nice.
Paranoia is eating away at Huey, and Mother's Milk can only think about getting back to his family. Trust is in tatters. Still, risking everything, Huey sets up a clandestine meeting with Annie on the subway. The danger is
fucking Subway,
palpable,
bro.
but something in
It's
her
the Cube,
still
bro.
wants to help. She agrees to investigate the only lead they have, a soup terrorist who entered the country illegally. In another part of the city, the Deep, humiliated and imprisoned, receives a bizarre
Yo,
offer
that's
of
Rip Off
redemption from
Hawkeye.
the hero Eagle the Archer, who invites him to the enigmatic Church of the
Rip Off
Collective.
Hawkeye.
Annie's lead takes Frenchie to a hideout, but when Kimiko confronts
Oh,
the supposed terrorist,
lovely.
her world collapses. She finds an origami, revealing it was from her brother, who had also been a forced victim of Compound V. In the
Aw,
Seventh Tower, Homelander, with no
Womp.
Madeline Stillwell to control him,
He doesn't
shows
have her
his true
milk.
colors. He humiliates the new boss,
That bitch still
Ashley,
around,
and brutally
fucking hell.
maims Blind
Oh my
Spot,
God, this guy
a blonde
got
hero,
fucking
sending a clear message. Only
destroyed.
he decides who rises.
Ashley,
and who falls,
look at
but
me.
His reign is challenged the very next second. Stormfront,
Don't look at that
a
thing.
charismatic
Oh,
social media
here we have-
savvy
here we
heroine,
have the fucking-
bursts
Nazi
onto the
bitch.
scene and announces she's the
Yep.
newest member of the Seven, a hire made by Edgar behind Homelander's back.
Wow.
Well, Stormfront.
The final blow comes when the
He looks
boys
happy.
meet with their only ally, Susan Rayner.
Doesn't she
starts
die
putting
as
the
well?
pieces together, talking about a coup inside
I think she
the bar.
does.
But before she can
Yeah,
finish
there
the
we go.
sentence, she drops dead right in front of everyone. The horror is absolute.
Dude, she got
They are
fucking
alone.
destroyed.
Enraged, Homelander confronts Stan Edgar, who, with chilling calm, verbally destroys him. Edgar reveals that Vought was born from Nazi
She got killed by
ideals
that
and they
politician
aren't a
girl that can
superhero
explode
company,
heads.
but a pharmaceutical giant. Compound V is our most valuable asset, he says, not you. Homelander is left reeling,
Ooh.
realizing he was never in control.
Gus Fring,
With the
what are you
team in
doing?
shot from Rayner's death, hopeless and without allies, a shadow appears in the doorway of the hideout, and a familiar voice breaks the silence. Daddy's home. Daddy's home, but the
Daddy's home.
reception isn't the warmest. Billy Butcher, waking up in the middle of nowhere in a roadside diner, finally reunites with his team, only to be confronted by the fury of those he abandoned. The tension is palpable, but Butcher, a master of manipulation, takes control with a
Palpatine.
promise. They will hunt down the super terrorist who has entered the country. Far away, Homelander is in his own personal hell, a perfect Vought suburb where Becca is
Yeah,
raising
fire
their
son off the
son,
roof.
Ryan, in total isolation. Homelander's disappointment is visible when he realizes the boy has no powers. He decides to stay, determined to awaken his son's potential, turning Becca's life into a nightmare of constant threat.
Well,
Back
shouldn't
at
have
the
fucking
tower, Vought's new star, Stormfront,
existed.
shows what she's made of. In the middle of a press conference, she throws the script away and captivates the audience with her rebellious, tell-it-like-it-is attitude. At the same moment, A-Train returns, apparently recovered, and makes a veiled threat to Starlight,
Oh.
making it clear he knows she was the one who helped Huey. The pressure on her is immense.
How does everyone feel about you helping your traitor fucking boyfriend escape?
Desperate, Starlight manages to get a sample of Compound V, but the exchange is spotted by two dangerous pairs of eyes, Stormfront and A-Train himself. Meanwhile, in secret, Queen Maeve meets with her
Lived
ex,
way too long.
Elena, and finally reveals the truth behind her distance. A
What the fuck even
paralyzing
happened to
fear of
Queen Maeve? Did she
Homelander
die, or
and
did
what
she
he
just,
would
like,
do if
disappear?
he discovered their relationship. At Susan
Got
Rayner's
fucked over and
funeral,
broken.
Butcher corners Grace Mallory. He convinces her to give him the terrorist's location in exchange for a chance to clear their names. With the information in hand, the team raids a hideout and comes face to face with their target, Kenji, Kimiko's
Kenji,
long-lost
bro.
brother. The reunion is brutally interrupted when Butcher reveals his play. He isn't there for justice. He made a deal, Kenji's head in exchange for Becca's location. The betrayal
Bro.
fractures the team, but faced with the raw truth, they decide to help him. Kenji, now radicalized, tries to convince Kimiko to join him. She refuses, and he attacks her, forcing
Oh, wow.
the team to subdue him, proving that sometimes blood isn't thicker than hate. Butcher's betrayal finally comes at a price. Aboard a boat with Kenji tied up, tensions explode, and Huey, in a fit of rage, punches their
Whoa,
leader in the
whoa,
face.
calm down.
The plan is to hand the super terrorist
You
over to
monkey bitch.
Mallory, but Kiniko still tries to reach her brother, begging him to give up his revenge. It's a futile attempt. Meanwhile, Homelander takes his fatherly
there's a
training to a
scene.
level of psychotic
He's gonna get thrown
cruelty.
off the
He
roof.
shoves Ryan, his son, off a roof, trying
What
to
if he just,
force him
like,
to
died
fly.
there?
The boy
He
just
actually didn't have
falls.
powers.
I
When
know.
Becca confronts
He
him,
probably wouldn't care, to
Homelander's
be honest.
rage is so intense that something inside Ryan awakens. He shoves him back with
Oh,
a
there we go.
devastating telekinetic force.
Steal it,
Homelander
wow.
is ecstatic, but the result is the opposite of what
It
he
wasn't
wanted.
fucking telekinetic,
Ryan,
he just
terrified
pushed
by
it.
what he did and by who his father is, rejects him
Fucking idiot.
completely.
I guess he's
The
strong
time
enough to
bomb
push him.
Starlight planted finally goes off. The news about
Yeah, Ashley's
Compound
ripping her
V
hair
leaks
out.
to the press, and Vought's stock plummets.
Well, that's the bitch
boy's
that
escape
explodes
by
heads.
sea is intercepted in the most bizarre way possible. The Deep emerges, using a
Oh my
giant
God.
whale to block their path. But
Oh,
he
they're gonna go through it,
underestimated
for
Billy
fuck's sake.
Butcher's brutality.
What-
Without
what was he
hesitation,
thinking?
Butcher speeds up the boat and drives it straight through the animal in a surreal scene of
shit.
carnage, escaping through a sewer drain. The trauma is too much for Huey, who refuses to go on.
Okay, you guys go ahead.
Yeah, just stay inside the fucking whale.
What?
Mother's milk stays behind
Like, yeah,
with
it's
him,
fucking
but the truce
hand
is
on half.
short-lived.
I-
In the tunnels,
What did
Homelander
Huey
corners
think
him,
he's getting himself
orders
into,
Starlight
fighting
to
superheroes?
execute Huey to prove her loyalty.
An idiot,
But just
that's
when all
why.
seems lost, Butcher reappears. In the
What?
confusion, Kenji escapes, only to be hunted down by Stormfront. The
Oh
chase
my
ends
God.
in a
Dude, I
massacre.
love her powers, though.
Stormfront
The fucking
reveals her
lightning,
true
her using
sadistic
lightning was
nature,
fucking epic.
slaughtering dozens of
You're
innocent
welcome.
civilians
Yeah.
before
Think she
finishing
got
off
screwed
Kenji.
over. I enjoyed Miss
Homelander
Hitler.
arrives, furious, not because
Miss
of the death,
Hitler.
but because she stole his spotlight.
She's probably
The
worse,
Thought
to be
Machine
honest.
kicks kicks into gear. In a matter of hours, Kenji is framed as the monster responsible for everything, and Stormfront is crowned America's new hero.
Great.
Stan Edgar uses the tragedy to sell more superheroes to the government. Little did they know that the nation's new savior was, in fact, evil in its purest form. While the
no
world
shit.
applauds its new hero, Kimiko is consumed by a silent grief.
Oh.
Homelander, for his part, dives headfirst into insanity, using a shape-shifting soup to recreate his sick fantasies
Oh
with
my
a
God, he's
Madeline
such a
Stillwell
weirdo.
doppelganger. Grace Mallory upholds her end of the deal and gives Butcher Becca's location, along with an intriguing new lead, the name of a former superhero called Liberty. With his prize in hand, Butcher does what he always does. He abandons the team once again to go after Becca alone. Mother's Milk, Huey, and Frenchie don't give up. They head to North Carolina to find out who Liberty was, and Starlight, feeling the walls of Seven Tower closing in, joins them. At Vought, corporate
Stop
cruelty
crying.
reaches its peak when Homelander and Ashley fire A-Train, discarding him as a liability to the
Aw.
company's image. The investigation leads the group to Valerie, a woman haunted by a terrible memory, the day Liberty murdered her brother back in the 1970s. When they show her a current photo of Stormfront, everyone's jaw drops.
That's her. Right there.
Oh, I forgot about this.
Valerie identifies her instantly. There's no doubt, Stormfront isn't a new hero. She is Liberty, an old, violent, and racist monster operating under a new identity.
Yeah.
At the same time, Butcher manages to infiltrate the
Insane.
Vought compound and finally reunites with Becca. The
Aw.
plan is to escape with Ryan, but at the last second, Becca backs out. She looks at Butcher and sees the hatred he feels for the boy. She knows he would never accept him. Heartbroken,
Well, it's not his
she
son,
forces
for
him
God's
to
sake.
leave, choosing to protect her son from the man she loves. Back at the tower,
Brother.
Homelander confronts Stormfront for stealing his spotlight, but instead of a fight, he finds seduction. She poisons him with a vision of power, explaining that fear and hatred are far more effective weapons than public adoration.
amazing.
An unholy alliance begins to form. At the height of his crisis, Homelander kills the Stillwell shapeshifter, declaring that he doesn't need anyone.
Bro,
Little
what?
did he know, he was about to team up with someone even worse. On the set of a Vought movie, Homelander's cruelty reaches a new level. He corners Queen Maeve, using her secret
Aw.
relationship with Elena as his newest tool for psychological torture. The conversation is cut short by an unprecedented crisis.
Okay.
A video of Homelander killing a civilian has gone viral, and his popularity has plummeted overnight.
Well,
As
it was
Vought
just a
gags
criminal,
him,
right?
Stormfront
Obviously.
approaches with a smile and an offer. She can fix this. Far from the chaos, Billy Butcher calls Huey with a blatant lie. He's found Becca and is retiring, but the sound of a dog's squeaky
Bruh.
toy in the background gives the game away. Suspicious, Huey convinces the team to go after him. They find him at his aunt's house, where Butcher finally breaks down and admits the truth. Becca rejected him because of her son. The moment
Aw.
of vulnerability is shattered by the silent and deadly arrival of Black Noir.
Sitting on the
Cornered,
fucking
Butcher
roof.
rigs a makeshift bomb, ready to sacrifice himself to give the others a chance. But Huey refuses to watch. He confronts Butcher's self-pity, forcing him to fight. Backed into a corner, Butcher makes the only play he has left. He calls Stan Edgar. The blackmail is direct. He has
Okay.
photos of Homelander's secret son. In exchange for his silence, Vought calls off the attack. Edgar, pragmatic as ever, agrees. Black Noir stands down. Meanwhile,
just
the
fucking
Cold
leaves.
War in the Seven Tower heats up. Starlight confronts Stormfront, revealing she knows her true identity as Liberty.
Well, how do you think the world will feel when I tell them that you used to be Liberty?
I don't think they
Stormfront
care.
strikes back, making it clear she knows
Nope.
it was Starlight.
They don't
who
give
made
a fuck.
Compound V. They're locked in a stalemate of mutually assured destruction. At the same time, Vought tries to turn
So
Maeve
these
and
two
Elena
fucking
into a
monkeys.
product, but Maeve refuses, promising Elena they'll take down Homelander once and for all. The episode ends with Stormfront's strategy working terrifyingly well. Using memes, fake news, and hate speech disguised as patriotism, she not only
Wow.
saves Homelander's image, but turns him into a martyr. His popularity skyrockets. The alliance between the two is finally sealed, not with a handshake, but with a display of violent power and disturbing
What
intimacy.
the hell, bro?
monster has found his queen. The unholy alliance is official. Homelander and Stormfront are now Vought's
this scene
power
right here
couple,
was
kicking off
fucking-
their
oh
reign
my
with
God.
the brutal execution of a common thief and a press tour that makes the boys' stomachs turn. Desperate, Starlight, now free of her tracker, delivers a crucial lead. Hacked emails from Stormfront mention the Sage Grove Center, a psychiatric hospital. The team has a
Oh
new
my God, you remember that
and Butcher
psychiatric
insists
hospital of the
Starlight
ships.
come along as bait. Meanwhile,
That
the
was
power
insane.
dynamics shift on other fronts. The Deep recovers the phone with the Flight 37 video, giving Maeve the weapons she needed to destroy Homelander.
Oh,
Elsewhere, A-Train, fired and humiliated, is approached by the Church of the Collective with the promise of a way back into the Seven. At Sage Grove, the truth is darker than they imagined. Frenchie, Mother's Milk, and Kimiko infiltrate and discover Vought's plan to stabilize Compound V so it works on adults.
This guy,
creating
bro.
An army of soups,
That guy
and
as
the
well.
orderly overseeing it all is a figure from the past, Lamplighter. The mission goes from bad to worse when a patient with
To be honest,
telekinetic
Lamplighter's power is
powers,
shit.
Cindy,
He needs
escapes
fucking fire
and
to make
frees
fire.
everyone else, plunging the hospital into absolute
Oh my God,
chaos.
this fucking bitch.
Outside, one
Not
of the
really much of a
escapees
light then, is
attacks
he?
the group,
Yeah.
severely injuring Huey. Drained of
This
her
bitch was
powers,
basically like an
Starlight
overpowered
and a
fucking
reluctant
Jedi
Butcher
on fucking
are
force
forced
powers.
to carjack a vehicle to save the kid's life. Trapped in the middle of the riot, Lamplighter confesses the truth to Frenchie about the death of Mallory's grandchildren, a terrible accident he never wanted.
I didn't know that you were gonna be in that bed. You were supposed to be your boss.
In return, Frenchie reveals his own ghost. The reason he didn't stop the attack was because he was tending to a friend who had overdosed. After escaping with Lamplighter, they hand him over to Mallory, who sees him as the perfect witness to expose Vought before Congress. But the biggest revelation
Well,
of
I don't
all
think
was yet to
anyone
come.
cares.
Homelander finally confronts Stormfront about her lies, and she, without holding back, reveals the complete, terrifying truth. Her name isn't Stormfront. She was born in 1919. She was the wife of Frederick Vought, the company's Nazi founder, and her ultimate goal isn't fame or power. It's to create an army of pure-blooded superhumans to lead a global race war,
Yeah,
with
great.
Homelander as their Führer. The enemy wasn't just
Oh,
corrupt,
Führer, bro.
but in
Homelander as their
Stormfront's
Führer.
propaganda was a
That's
poison,
crazy.
and it was spreading through the veins of America, fueling a xenophobic panic against super terrorists that only existed in her imagination. But Grace Mallory and the boys had a silver bullet to annihilate this narrative. Lamplighter's testimony at a congressional hearing. It was the perfect play, checkmate, until the board was flipped. During an innocent visit, Starlight's mother unwittingly sent up a flare for Vought, handing her own daughter over on a silver platter.
She's
Meanwhile,
like the shittest
she
mom
had one
ever.
job, babysit a broken superhero. But
I
how do
already
you
know
watch
that.
over the darkness in a man's soul? Consumed by despair, Lamplighter breaks into Vought Tower and sets himself on fire in front of his own
What
statue.
the
key
fuck?
witness was now ashes. Plan A was
Brilliant.
dead.
Brilliant
Desperate,
plan.
Butcher moves on to
Brilliant.
Plan
Set
B,
yourself
which
on
looked more
fucking
like a
fire.
dive into hell. He corners Dr. Vogelbaum, the Frankenstein who created Homelander,
You're dumb.
and coerces
See?
him into testifying under the coldest of threats, his family's safety. Far from the chaos, Homelander and Stormfront take Ryan on a bizarre retreat, a sick effort to forge an Aryan family and erase any trace of Becca
Bro.
from the boy. Back at the tower, a light emerges in the darkness. Starlight is rescued by the most unlikely ally of all, Queen Maeve,
Wow.
who neutralizes Black Noir and clears a path for her
Neutralizes.
and her mother to escape. The climax approaches. The congressional hearing begins.
Oh, this is where the head
Dr.
started
Vogelbaum
popping.
approaches the microphone, ready to expose.
Wait, isn't this
decades
the
of
final, like,
lies.
season
The
3?
world
I remember
holds
this
its
shit.
breath.
This
At
was
the very
insane.
moment he opens his mouth
Yeah,
to
it was the
speak,
final.
no sound comes out.
Yeah,
Then he
'cause I was like,
explodes,
what
and
the
panic
fuck?
erupts.
I was like,
Seconds
who
later,
the fuck is
others
doing this
begin
shit?
to explode as well, in a full-blown scene of horror and terror. Watching the live broadcast, the
He's
boys'
just
jaws
touching
hit
his
the
head.
floor. Their plan hadn't just failed; it was obliterated by an unseen enemy.
Yeah,
a
it's
ghost
hurt,
who
it's
had just
hurt.
declared war without showing its face. In the wake of the massacre in Congress, Vought plays its final card, marketing Compound V as the only cure for the fear they themselves created. Congresswoman Victoria Newman, one of the few survivors, knows it's a
wonder why
scam,
she
but
survived.
without proof, her hands are tied. Starlight, for her part, cuts her last tie to the past, sending her mother to a safe place. In the hideout,
Stupid
Butcher's
mom.
patience has run out. It's time for a frontal assault on the Seven. But Huey,
What
still
the fuck
clinging
does
to
he want
hope,
to do? A
believes there's
frontal
another
assault,
way,
bro.
a path that doesn't end in total defeat. He and Starlight go to Queen Maeve, begging her to be the voice the world needs to hear. But the Queen is exhausted, broken by the fight, convinced that Homelander is a force of nature that cannot be stopped.
Actually, the head
The
popping
team's
was
mission,
final
however,
season
is
2, I think.
hijacked by a new desperation. Becca shows up at the hideout in a panic. Homelander and Stormfront have taken Ryan. Butcher's promise to his wife becomes his sole obsession. He makes a deal with the devil, a secret agreement with Stan Edgar. He delivers Ryan to Vought, and Edgar will get Becca back for him. But the game is turned by an unexpected source. A-Train, humiliated and kicked out of the Seven, leaks Huey the very weapon they needed.
Wow.
A dossier unearthing Stormfront's Nazi past. While the super couple
Insane.
tries to
But I
poison
don't think anyone
Ryan's
will
mind
care.
with their hateful ideology, the boys leak the documents. The truth explodes across global media, creating the perfect chaos for a rescue. Stormfront intercepts them.
Oh
and the
my god,
battle
this
is
is the
savage.
final
The
season
women
3, I think. I
unite,
don't know. This was
Starlight,
insane.
Kimiko, and Maeve in a brutal, coordinated
Stormfront is
attack.
gonna get absolutely fucked.
But the Nazi breaks free and focuses on her weakest target, Becca. Seeing his mother in danger, something inside Ryan snaps. A cry of rage
Hey, he
and
kills
love
her.
unleashes his powers for the first time, incinerating Stormfront, but hitting Becca with fatal collateral damage. Homelander arrives to find his lover mutilated and his wife dying.
This was
Before he can
insane,
take
bro.
Ryan, Maeve confronts him, pulling the trigger on her final blackmail. The plane video. Let them go, or the world will see the monster you are. Vought, in damage control mode, pins all the blame on Stormfront. Compound V is shelved, Starlight is reinstated as a hero, and A-Train gets his spot back. While
Amazing.
the Deep is kicked to the curb once again. With the charges dropped, the team disbands.
Well, he's
Whisper
useless
fulfills
anyway.
his promise to Becca,
He's
placing
an
Ryan in Grace Mallory's care. And
Fresh
Huey,
boy.
seeking to fight the right way, takes a job with Victoria Newman. He had no
Right,
idea
'cause she's
that the
definitely
woman
an
he saw
ally.
as the solution was, in fact, a cold-blooded killer. The real monster was right in front of him, and she had just offered him a job. A year passes. The dust has settled, but the game board has been completely redrawn. Huey now wears a suit and a badge, working for
Wow, a
the Bureau
suit.
of Superhuman
Insane.
Affairs, and overseeing Billy Butcher's new mission, hunting down problem soups. Now with the government's blessing, the boys are on a leash, and Huey's holding it, creating instant friction between protocol and brutality. Huey's life seems stable, but a shadow from his boss's past, Congresswoman Newman, appears, calling her Nadia, and mentioning a sinister place called Red River. Butcher, haunted by the promise he made to a dead woman, keeps a calculated distance from Ryan. Mother's Milk desperately tries to return to a normal life, but his OCD betrays him, a constant reminder that the trauma left by Soups
I
is
don't
a
think that's
stain
OCD,
that won't
bro.
wash out. Behind the scenes, Stan Edgar reveals his true game. He wants to pivot Vought out of the superhero business and turn it into a pharmaceutical giant with a
No.
revolutionary new
Of course.
product, Temporary Compound V.
Because your soldiers will only be super temporarily.
Meanwhile, Queen Maeve, obsessed with wiping Homelander off the face of the earth, gives Butcher what could be the key, the legend of a mysterious weapon that killed the
Oh,
all-powerful
Soldier Boy.
To find it, Butcher needs to hunt down the ghosts of Soldier Boy's old team, Payback. As a bonus, Maeve gives him a few doses of Tempa V, an insurance policy. At Vought Tower, Edgar moves his pieces, promoting Starlight to co-captain of the Seven,
Oh, wow.
using her popularity as a leash for his most unstable asset. Newman's peace is shattered when her childhood friend Tony turns up dead. In a panic,
Aw.
she makes a mysterious call, asking for help. It's then that the final truth comes to light.
Yep.
Nadia isn't just a name from the past. She is Stan Edgar's adopted daughter. The Soup Hunter was the ultimate villain's secret weapon all along.
Nice.
The hunt for the weapon that killed a legend has begun, forcing the team to reluctantly reunite. Frenchie and Kimiko go after the Crimson Countess at a Vought-themed amusement park, but the mission turns into a disaster, and the ex-heroine escapes. Meanwhile, Butcher corners another member of Payback, Gunpowder, who, after a bit of persuasion, reveals a bombshell. Soldier Boy's last mission was a CIA operation in Nicaragua in 1984,
Oh,
overseen by
of course.
none other than Grace Mallory. Determined to unmask Newman, Huey infiltrates Red River, the orphanage for superpowered children. What he finds is
Orphanage.
irrefutable proof. Files that not only confirm Newman is Nadia, but also reveal that Stan Edgar personally adopted her.
Aw.
She was never his adversary. She was always his pawn. At Vought Tower, the Cold War between the co-captains heats up. Homelander attempts a public humiliation, but Edgar intervenes, making it clear that Starlight's
Oh, this is
approval
this
ratings
insane
have made
speech
her, for
where
the
he says
moment,
he's like-
more powerful than
He's a
him.
monkey and shit.
Hey, it's your party. You can try if you want to.
The pressure on Homelander reaches a boiling point. During his televised birthday
Tells him to
rescue,
fucking
he
jump.
comes across a woman standing on the edge of the building. Using reverse psychology, he adds fuel to the fire. The final breakdown happens live on his TV special. Provoked by a protester, he goes off script, exploding into a furious speech, declaring himself a god above humans.
Yep.
And to everyone's horror, the crowd roars in approval. Cornered and beaten
Amazing.
by Gunpowder, Butcher makes the decision that might cost him his soul. He injects the temporary compound Compound V. With his eyes glowing and power coursing through
He's
his
going
veins,
fucking
he
high.
mercilessly hunts down and executes Gunpowder. Seeing there's no escaping the war, Mother's Milk rejoins Butcher. At the same time, Huey, with his world collapsing around him, calls Butcher and admits the defeat of his ideals.
Amazing.
We have to do it your way. The team was back, but this time, they were willing to become monsters to hunt monsters. A
Aw.
flashback takes us to a young Starlight with a forced smile and teary eyes, being pushed by her mother onto the stage of a beauty pageant. A
Yeah,
doll
amazing
for the
mom.
public's delight. In the present, history repeats itself,
Not this
but on a
bitch.
terrifying scale. After his hate speech, Homelander's popularity explodes among white men in the Midwest, and his couple rating with Starlight hits a record high 98%. He
Oh,
has
wow.
turned her into his trophy. Back at the hideout, Huey returns, and to avoid a run-in with the boss he now knows is a murderer, he asks Kiniko for a macabre favor: break my arm. At
What?
Vought, Starlight tries to exercise her newfound authority as co-captain,
Right.
but her
Okay.
choices are dismissed
What a
in
monkey.
favor of marketing. Far away,
Yep.
Frenchie's past comes back to haunt him in the form of Sherry, his former partner, who is now in debt to the dangerous Russian mobster, Little Nina. Meanwhile,
Bro,
Butcher
Little-
and Mother's
Little
Milk
Nina.
confront
Well, fuck
Grace
her then.
Mallory,
Let's
who
kill her.
finally opens the coffin of secrets about Soldier Boy's last mission. It wasn't a heroic operation. It was a front for trafficking drugs to the Contras, a test to see if Soups could be soldiers. The mission ended in tragedy when Russian forces attacked, supposedly killing Soldier Boy with a super weapon before stealing his body. Back at the tower, Homelander corners
Oh, yeah, I
Starlight.
remember
She
that.
tries to play her trump card, the video from Flight 37, but he laughs in her face. He dares her to leak it, revealing he has nothing left to lose. If he
Yeah,
goes
no one
down,
will give
he'll
a
take
shit
the
anyway.
whole world down with him.
Because I am the Homelander.
Terrified, she calls Huey, who tells her about the weapon hunt in Russia and begs her to hang in there. But the mission takes its toll on Butcher. He says goodbye to Ryan, not with a hug, but with calculated cruelty, blaming the boy for Becca's death to sever the last tie that bound him to his humanity. Butcher's plan is simple:
He ain't
go
wrong,
to
though.
Russia, and to do so, he uses Frenchie to get in touch with Little Nina. The night ends with a media spectacle.
What the hell?
Supersonic is announced as a member of the Seven, but Homelander shocks everyone by bringing the Deep back instead. Then,
Oh,
with
my
a
God.
predatory smile, he makes the final announcement: live to millions. He and Starlight are in love. In an instant, he traps her in the perfect charade, a televised golden cage. Trapped in the spotlight, smiling for the cameras, Starlight was
Amazing.
now a prisoner in her own fairy tale, and the monster had just declared himself Prince Charming. Living a lie comes at a price, and for Starlight, the bill is coming due. Forced to smile for the cameras alongside Homelander, her life becomes a private hell when the hero decides to pay a surprise visit to her apartment, with
Aw.
Huey hiding just a few feet away, holding his breath. But while Starlight plays this deadly chess match, a corporate war explodes at Vought. Stan Edgar, the puppet master, tries to use Victoria Newman to corner Homelander,
just
but
kill
little
her,
did he
bro.
know the game had already been turned. Homelander not only neutralizes the threat,
I don't
but
remember
forges
even
an
who kills her. I know
unholy
she
alliance
dies,
with
though.
Newman, delivering the head of his own adoptive father on a platter. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, the boys delve into the ice of Russia in search of the only weapon that can make a god
This guy,
bleed.
isn't
The
he frozen in like
compact,
fucking
the infamous Little
monkey
Nina.
shit?
The information has a price,
Probably.
as always, an assassination, and the task falls to Kiniko, forcing her to dive back into the darkness she fought so hard to leave behind. Back in New York,
Insane.
a bombshell revelation. Queen Maeve confesses to Starlight that she is the mastermind behind the hunt in Russia and has been training in secret for the day of reckoning with Homelander. Inspired,
Wow.
Starlight plays her own hand.
It's why
Insane.
I'm training. Or haven't had a drink in 4 awful shit-eating months.
Recruiting Supersonic to the rebellion. She
Well,
just didn't count on one
fat.
thing: the loyalty of A-Train, publicly humiliated by the Deep and ignored by Homelander, would be the piece that brought the whole House of Cards down. Homelander's plan comes to fruition in a devastating press conference. Newman exposes Stan Edgar's crimes, and the King of Vought falls. With the
Aw.
throne vacant, Homelander finally
Same.
seizes total control. Knowing that time is running out, Huey makes a desperate decision. He steals a dose of Temp V.
Yeah, and
determined
gets
to
the
no
most
longer
shitty
be
power in the
guy who
world.
needs saving. In Russia, the team invades the lab and, cornered, Butcher and Huey inject the serum, feeling the power burn through their veins. But they don't find a weapon. They find a living legend, Soldier Boy.
There he is.
Disoriented, he fires a blast of
This is
pure
final of
energy
season
from his
3, right?
chest. The
I
beam
think.
hits Kimiko, and in an instant, her healing powers vanish. And as chaos
What?
erupts in Russia, back in New York, betrayal takes its price. A-Train tells
Oh, doesn't
Homelander
his shit
everything.
take away
To
powers?
send his message, Homelander confronts
Then-
Starlight,
I can't
but not
remember.
with words. He does it with
But it's temporary, I
Supersonic's
think.
blood. The dust has
Yeah, I
barely
don't remember,
settled
but
from Russia,
if
and the
Kimiko
boys
lost
are
her powers
already
for
in
that.
pieces. Mother's Milk explodes at Butcher, accusing him of becoming the very monster they hunt by using Temp V. The team, the family, is fractured. In New York, the new king of Vought, Homelander, consolidates his power with a quiet terror, promoting the deep and making it clear who's in charge.
Amazing.
It is in this climate that Starlight finds Huey and tells him the devastating news about Supersonic.
Yeah, don't
only
forget
to be
the
dealt
shapeshifter
another
that turns
blow.
into
Huey
Starlight.
confesses that he used V2. The trust between them shatters. Far away, Kimiko wakes up in the hospital and, to Frenchie's shock, she smiles. Powerless. For the first time in years, she feels free. But peace is a luxury no one has.
Okay, well, she's useless
Soldier
now.
Boy, the ghost of Vought's past, resurfaces in New York and leaves a trail of 19 bodies in a
Fucking
massive
hell.
explosion.
He just said the same
An
thing
old
I
Vought
did.
legend reveals the pattern. He's hunting his old team, Payback, one by one. And next on the list is his ex-girlfriend, the Crimson Countess. The paranoia in
Wow.
Vought Tower reaches its peak. Homelander discovers Maeve's conspiracy and kicks her out of the Seven,
Oh.
forcing Ashley to come up with a rehab story for the media. At the same time, A-Train's plan for Blue Hawk to apologize to the community
Oh, yeah, this guy.
explodes into violence, leaving his brother permanently paralyzed. And as if that weren't
Nice.
enough, Frenchie is dragged back into the clutches of little Nina. With the world falling apart, the boys and Starlight team up for one last desperate play to ambush Soldier Boy. But Butcher has other plans.
No,
the goal
no,
was
he's gonna
never
team
to
up
stop
with him.
Soldier Boy. It was to team up with him to kill Homelander. To ensure no one interferes, he drugs Mother's Milk. Seeing Starlight in danger,
Bruh.
Huey makes his choice. He takes another dose of Temp V, embracing the power to protect her. When Starlight arrives and sees what he's done, her heart breaks. She confronts him, horrified,
who
but
cares?
Huey's decision is made. He turns his back on the woman he loves and walks towards the abyss alongside Butcher, leaving a wound that may never heal.
Aw.
The ghost of Vought's past is alive and well, and the video of the Manhattan explosion reaches Homelander's screen. As Ashley panics, Vought's new CEO takes control with chilling composure. He will personally hunt down and kill Soldier Boy, and the story will be buried. His
Yeah,
first
you're not
order
killing
is
him,
for
bro.
Black Noir, the only one who knows Payback's secrets. But Noir has vanished. Across town, a
'Cause he's
deal
scared,
with the
bro.
devil is struck. Butcher and Huey find a Soldier Boy lost in the 21st century and make him an offer. They help him eliminate Payback, and in return, he helps them kill Homelander. As the unholy alliance forms, Mother's Milk, driven by a devastating personal vendetta, sets off to hunt Soldier Boy alone, revealing to Starlight that the legendary hero murdered his family. All
Oh,
roads
I
lead to
remember
a
that.
single explosive destination.
All I know is that if I didn't check the burners 3 times a night, Soldier Boy would come back and kill the rest of us.
A house in Vermont
Wow.
where the next
Insane.
targets, the TNT twins,
Herogasm.
are located. What they find isn't a hideout.
Best
it's
episode
Herogasm,
fucking ever.
The legendary annual superhero party. The chaos is the perfect stage.
I don't
for
think it's a
settling of
party, bro.
scores.
I think it's
Huey, with the powers
more.
of Temp V coursing through his veins, finally confronts A-Train for Robin's death, and then all hell truly breaks loose. Homelander descends from the heavens. Mother's Milk, blinded by vengeance, attacks Soldier Boy and is knocked out. In a showdown that
Why,
shakes
bro,
the
just
very
throw smoke at him?
foundation of the house, Butcher, Huey, and Soldier Boy join forces against the man who thought himself a god. For the first time in history, the Invincible One bleeds. Wounded and shocked,
Wow.
Homelander retreats. In the midst of the carnage, A-Train finally gets his revenge, killing Blue Hawk. Far away, Frenchie and Kimiko manage to escape little Nina, but the final blow doesn't come from a punch. It comes from a cell phone. Fed up with the lies, Starlight hits broadcast and burns Vought and Homelander to the ground in a live stream to the entire world. Starlight is dead, and Annie January has just declared war. Annie January's
God,
live stream
insane.
has set the world on fire. Vought, in full damage control mode, strikes back with the force of a hurricane, painting her as a terrorist and a child trafficker
Brother.
in the media.
Child
while Homelander
trafficker.
sells himself as the nation's only salvation. Hiding out at the Legends house, a fossil from Vought's golden age, the truth about their new ally comes to light. Huey discovers that Soldier Boy was never a war hero. He was a propaganda fraud, an
Nice.
unstable weapon responsible for countless atrocities. But the deal is done, and the next target on the revenge list is Mindstorm. The hunt leads them to a psychic confrontation. Mindstorm attacks Butcher, not with his fists, but with his mind,
All right.
trapping him in an endless nightmare, forcing him to relive his darkest traumas. Soldier Boy is ready to leave
he's
Butcher
cooked.
for dead, but Huey, refusing to be the scared kid he once was, does the unthinkable. He confronts the telepath alone and offers a deal to save his leader. Inside his own mind, Butcher is forced to confront life with his father and the death of his brother,
Amazing.
Lenny, a guilt that haunts him for the rest of his life. He wakes up at the last second, just in time to see Soldier Boy smash Mindstorm's head in. But before he dies, the telepath
Aw.
delivers one last piece piece of information, a truth that changes everything. Vought didn't lose him to the Russians. They gave him up. They traded him for a newer, stronger model. Shocked and betrayed, Soldier Boy picks up the phone. He calls his replacement. He calls his greatest enemy. And then he reveals the truth that rewrites history and turns the hunt
his
into
dad.
something far more dangerous. Homelander is his son. The
Oh.
revelation that Soldier Boy is Homelander's father should have changed the game, but the board is already on fire. The final pieces move toward the inevitable showdown. Homelander finds Ryan and lures him to his side, promising
Amazing.
the family he's always wanted. Maeve, in an act of pure fury,
Fuck happened to
escapes her
her?
captivity in Vought Tower
Oh,
and
right, she
reunites
was
with the
fucking-
team for the final battle. Frenchie reveals the ace up their sleeve, Novichok, a Russian nerve agent powerful enough to take down a god. But the alliances are crumbling from within. Butcher discovers that Temp Fee is a death sentence, but he hides the fatal truth from
Nice.
Huey. In the tower, Homelander confronts Black Noir, who has finally returned. Upon learning that Noir always knew the truth about his origin and let him live a lie, Homelander rips out the last piece of his past, killing his most loyal companion in cold blood.
Amazing.
It's the point of no return. The final confrontation explodes in Vought
Genius.
Tower.
Kill your
Father
fucking
and son face
powerful
each
ally.
other, but there are no hugs. Soldier Boy rejects Homelander as a disappointment and attacks him. Ryan, seeing his father in danger, uses his powers against his grandfather.
he's got a
In an
shield.
instant, Soldier Boy's fury turns on the child, and in that moment, Butcher makes his choice. He betrays Soldier Boy to protect Becca's son. The
Oh,
promise
for
he
God's
made
sake.
to her is worth more than his revenge. The battle is
I would just
absolute.
let
Maeve
kill the
against
little
Let
Homelander,
them just
Mother's
kill
Milk,
the kid, bro.
Kimiko, and Starlight against the human weapon, Soldier Boy. Just as he's about to unleash a blast that would annihilate everyone, Soldier Boy is stopped. In a final sacrifice, Maeve tackles him and throws herself out the window with him,
Holy shit.
absorbing the blast and becoming the hero she was
Oh,
always
so
meant to
this
be.
happened
In
to
the
her.
aftermath,
Nice.
Victory tastes bitter. Butcher learns he has months to live. A powerless Maeve finally finds peace. Annie throws away her suit
Oh, she
and
didn't fucking
officially
die.
joins
Okay.
the boys. And in the shadows, Victoria
remember that.
Newman is announced as a vice presidential candidate. The war is
Amazing.
far from over. In the final scene, Homelander introduces Ryan to a crowd of fanatical supporters. When a protester throws something at the boy,
Oh, this was
the
great.
hero doesn't hesitate. He takes care of him, right in front of everyone, and the crowd goes wild. They cheer. Amidst the screams of adoration,
Nice. People are
Ryan
really
looks
smart.
at his father and smiles. The monster wasn't
Yep.
defeated. He just created another one. While Huey becomes a ghost in the system, Butcher, clearly a man at his limit, prepares for the attack. The problem? Homelander decides to show up uninvited with Ryan in tow, turning the mission into a powder keg. Butcher
Bruh.
attempts a final desperate act, cornering Ryan to convince him to run, but Homelander interrupts and with a cruel smile drops the final bombshell. He knows Butcher is dying. The tables turn. The
Oh.
plan implodes when Newman's
What
daughter
the
Zoe
fuck?
reveals her powers and turns the place into a slaughterhouse. Amid the chaos, Annie becomes a guardian angel, weaving a net of light to save Frenchie and Kimiko from a deadly 8-story fall. The confrontation is now face to face, Huey versus Newman, and she offers a deal that's pure blackmail, mutually assured destruction. If they expose her, she will burn their world to the ground. Back at the base with Mallory, the
Okay.
order is clear. Newman is the target. MM, taking the lead, makes the toughest call. Butcher is out, but little did they know, Butcher already had a plan B, meeting an old ghost
Always
from the
fucking has.
CIA, Joe Kessler, who whispers in his ear, Mallory is aiming at the wrong target. The real monster is still Homelander. Meanwhile, in 7 Tower, Homelander's boredom is broken by the arrival of a new piece on the board, Sister Sage, the smartest
This
person
fucking
in the
bitch.
world. His question is simple. How does he become an immortal god? Her answer is terrifyingly brilliant. Don't fight the system. Let the masses destroy it for you, and then rise from the ashes as the one true savior.
Okay.
Huey's personal tragedy deepens with his father's stroke, and in a desperate move, Butcher plays his last card.
Oh,
He
Daddy's
offers
dead.
Newman Ryan's head in exchange for the files that could destroy her. Following his ex's new boyfriend's trail, MM and the team stumble upon a secret rally where they witness Homelander forcing the Deep and A-Train to brutally beat 3 of their own fans.
Nice.
Sage's plan goes into action. Homelander is declared innocent. A riot is orchestrated to frame Starlight's supporters. Violence erupts. In the middle of the chaos, Ryan makes a confession to Homelander that changes everything. He doesn't
Wow.
want Butcher to to die,
Aw.
tormented. A vision of Becca haunts Butcher, a plea to save their son. But how do you save
Yeah,
someone without
this guy's a
destroying
sociopath
yourself in
now,
the
so that's
process?
amazing.
Sage's plan didn't just
Yep.
work, it was a knockout. Starlight's supporters are now terrorists in the public eye, and
Nice.
Homelander's
Aw,
power is
dang.
nearly
Well,
absolute.
too bad.
Inside the Seven, the new order is clear. A-Train is forced to film a fabricated biopic, and the actor playing the new Black Noir complains that his character is a joke. For Huey, his personal hell gets a
shit.
new chapter
roll a
with the
fucking
arrival
joke.
of his mother, Daphne, who has the power to decide his father's fate. After discovering Butcher's terminal illness,
Daphne, bro.
MM's decision is
Daphne from
final.
Scooby-Doo.
He's a liability, and he is officially kicked off the team. At Vought, Sage's genius continues to shape the future, turning Ryan into a chosen one, and
Just
subtly
kill her,
diminishing
bro.
Homelander's
He's
importance,
not Anakin,
sowing
bro.
the seeds of discord. Empowered, the Deep finally confronts a powerless Ashley. The boys' next target is Sage, but the team is split on how to proceed. Frenchie, and Kimiko follow her to a conspiracy theory convention, a den of lies where another
Conspiracy
soup,
theory
Firecracker, poisons the public against Starlight.
Oh
It
my
is
God,
there
this-
that
she's a
Frenchie's
fucking
past
weirdo
comes
as well.
back to haunt him in the form of a familiar face. Meanwhile, Annie and Huey witness A-Train being confronted by his own brother about the sham his life has become. Sage, always one step ahead, offers Firecracker a spot in the Seven on one condition: eliminate MM's team. The ambush is brutal, and in the middle of the fight, the tension between MM and Butcher
Brother.
finally explodes into a physical confrontation, unleashing months of rage and frustration. But a light emerges in the darkness. In an act of redemption, A-Train gives Annie the footage that proves her fans' innocence.
Aw.
Ryan's first rescue, a Vought staged event, turns to tragedy when he accidentally kills a stuntman.
shit.
Homelander's reaction is ice cold, teaching the horrified boy a terrible lesson. Humans are just toys. Inspired by Huey, Annie puts on the suit again. Starlight is reborn, but for Butcher, the night ends in total defeat. Humiliated and without allies, he knocks on the only door left to him, MM's, begging for help to save Ryan, and watches
Nice.
it get slammed in his face. Is the game over for him? With the team in shambles and Butcher on the ropes, Homelander and Sage waste no time. They present the world with the
my
new
God.
lethal lineup of the Seven. Desperate, Butcher goes to Kessler with a risky plan: kidnap and deprogram Ryan. But Kessler's warning is
Deprogram,
crystal
bro.
clear. If the boy can't be controlled, he'll have to be eliminated. On the political chessboard, Newman is cornered, pressured to support a
done
law
that ages
that could
ago.
destroy her
Yeah.
plans for power. Far from it all,
Should've just killed the
Kimiko
fucker when
begins
Soulja
a
Boy was
personal
there.
hunt for the ghosts of her past, with Frenchie, loyal to the end, by her side. MM's team remains divided. He wants to use A-Train as a spy, but Huey knows the truth. Without Butcher's brutality, they don't stand a chance. Butcher manages to lure Ryan into a trap,
Exactly.
ready to drug him, but at the last second, he hesitates. The trap turns into a confession, and for the first time, the two truly connect.
Aw.
I'm a bad man. I ain't got no business going after a kid.
Meanwhile, Sage sniffs out a traitor inside the tower, and to protect A-Train, Homelander silences the only witness,
Oh,
literally.
nice.
Across town, Annie confronts Firecracker, only to discover that her hatred stems from an old children's beauty pageant, a promise to destroy her life completely. The trap is set. A-Train sends MM and Huey to what appears to be a secret meeting between Newman and Homelander. In hiding, Huey overhears the final plan, the move that could break the world. Newman for president with absolute power for Soups. When
brother.
Homelander discovers him, the end seems certain, but in a blur of speed, A-Train intervenes, saving Huey and finally choosing a side.
Aw.
While Frenchie is tortured by hallucinations of his crimes, Huey and his mother find peace, with her revealing the truth behind her abandonment. But the calm is short-lived. Kessler delivers the CIA's ultimatum to Butcher: turn Ryan into a weapon against his father, or he becomes a target. Rejected by his own son, Homelander's mind shatters. He doesn't seek revenge. He seeks the
Yeah,
source
this
of
is
his
where he
pain,
just went
returning
crazy
to
as
the
fuck.
lab where the monster was made, the monster's cradle. Homelander returns to the Vought lab
Oh,
with
yeah,
an
he's
ice
gonna
cream cake,
fucking
a reunion that
finish
quickly
everyone,
devolves
yeah.
into a horror show. He belittles the technicians before finally
I mean,
confronting
deserve
the
it.
woman who created him. Far away,
Yep.
Huey's world collapses. His father is brain dead, and his estranged mother holds
like
the
him.
power to pull the plug. In a bold political move, Annie January, as Starlight, offers her support to the president-elect in exchange for a promise of blood, the total destruction
Aw,
of
so
Vought.
nice of
The
her.
team reunites, with Butcher back in the fold, and their sights are set on Homelander's new weapons, Sage and Firecracker. Sage's strategy is an information war, with Firecracker leading a media assault against Starlight.
Amazing.
The boys find some old dirt to blackmail her, but the move backfires. Firecracker not only confesses her crime on air, turning it into a redemption story,
my
but she
God.
also counterattacks, leaking Annie's medical records and revealing her abortion to the world. The bait works. Annie loses control and attacks Firecracker on national television. mission. Checkmate.
Oh, shit.
Sage doesn't play to win. She
Well.
plays to annihilate. On a side mission, Huey asks A-Train for a dose of Compound V to save his father. They are attacked, but Kimiko arrives like a hurricane, settling the score with one of her old torturers. In the midst
Oh,
of the
does she have her
panic
powers
moment,
back?
Frenchie's
I don't even know,
past
bro.
kidnaps him in the form
think
of
so,
Colin,
yeah.
Yeah,
who
she
reveals
must
a
have.
devastating truth. Frenchie murdered his family years ago. Devastated, Huey returns to the hospital and finds a miracle. His mother has already injected his father with V, and he awakens. But the
Oh.
darkest revelation was yet to come. Butcher confesses
wonder
to
the powers
Huey
his dad is
he
gonna
also
have.
used temporary V, and the compound didn't cure him. It only sped up the end. The miracle was short-lived, and Helltain to collect its due. The compound V that saved Huey's father
Oh,
also
okay.
destroyed his
So
mind, turning
he
him
can
into
go
a
for
creature
shit.
with unstable powers who attacks his own family. In a desperate chase, Huey gets one final moment of lucidity with his father before making the most agonizing decision of his life. Together with his mother, he administers an overdose, putting an end to the suffering.
Amazing.
With the team in shock,
that was just
Butcher
pointless.
reveals his ace up his sleeve,
Yep.
a virus, a biological weapon developed at Godolkin University, capable of killing soups. The only problem? Victoria Newman stole the only sample. To retrieve it, they
Of
make a
course
deal
she
with the
did.
devil, breaking Stan Edgar out of prison to
That
lead them to
bloody
her.
bitch.
Mortal enemies forged in a fragile alliance, with a single objective. The hunt leads them to a farm infested
Oh, this
with
is where they have
livestock
fucking
turned into
sheep that
deadly
are flying.
predators by Compound V. Meanwhile, at VOTS V52 Expo, the new Black Noir advises A-Train to embrace violence, and Ryan, in an act of rebellion, refuses to follow the script to Homelander's pride. At the
Wow.
farm, chaos reigns, and the scientist guarding the virus disappears. The mission is a failure. The Alliance explodes in mistrust, or so everyone thought. Far from everything and everyone, the
Oh,
truth is revealed.
nice.
Butcher didn't lose the scientist. He captured him, and now, with the biological weapon in hand, he is ready to rewrite the rules of
Isn't
the game.
that's the scientist from The
alone. In
Mandalorian, bro?
darkest
This guy's
corners
always
of
playing
the
a
city,
scientist.
Butcher and his contact, Joe Kessler, aren't looking for
Well,
justice.
Cynthia Carr
They're looking
acts,
for
I
a weapon.
recognize from
Samir,
shows.
the scientist, is the key, and torture is the way to turn it to recreate the
Yeah, that's the
virus
guy. He
that
played
can
in The
change the
Mandalorian.
game forever. Far away, Huey tries to escape his demons in Paris, scattering his father's ashes. But pain doesn't need a passport, and it consumes him from within. Little did he know he was about to be dragged back into an even worse hell. The team
Okay.
discovers the unthinkable. Homelander and Sage, the mind behind the monster, are cooking up something big,
They're
and the
cooking.
stage is Tech Knight's extravagant mansion.
Oh
The
my
mission,
god, no,
infiltration.
no, Tech
The
Knight, bro.
bait,
Biggest
Huey,
weirdo ever.
disguised as Webweaver, a pathetic junkie soup, tasked with planting bugs and getting out unnoticed. The plan was risky, but what followed was an instant disaster. Huey's disguise lasted shorter than an Instagram story. Tech Knight's
Nice.
bizarrely sharp senses sniffed him out in the middle of the crowd, and the party was over. Dragged into an underground chamber, Huey becomes Tech Knight and Ashley's plaything in a grotesque
Oh, get
spectacle
out.
of humiliation. But while he bled underground,
That was
the
so
real
fucking
threat was
weird.
being revealed upstairs. Newman and Sage were presenting their project to the country's corrupt elite, a coup. The plan was simple and terrifying. Overthrow President Singer, install Newman as a puppet in power, and use Tech Knight's private prisons as concentration camps for anyone
Bro.
who dared to disagree.
Talking about saving this country.
The boys' rescue mission was pure chaos. Annie, trying to fix the past, confronts Firecracker with an apology, only for her words to be used as the perfect excuse for a brutal attack. MM, in a flash of genius, neutralizes the strategist, Sage, but the price is high. The stress throws him into a paralyzing panic attack.
Oh my
Before the
God.
butler, Elijah, silences Tech Knight for good. They tear the truth about the camps from him. Mission accomplished. They escape. But the victory was an illusion. Back at the hideout, the final truth drops like an atomic bomb. Samir reveals the virus's secret. To be strong enough to kill
What is
Homelander, it would need to become airborne, contagious. A plague that would not only annihilate the target, but all soups on the planet. Ryan, Annie, Kimiko, all in the line of fire. And then, the final knockout.
was worth
The
it.
plot twist no one saw coming. Joe Kessler, Butcher's dark mentor, doesn't exist. He's a hallucination, a ghost born from Butcher's brain tumor, fueled by
So this
Compound
guy's
V.
listening
Butcher's
to him
true
talking
enemy
himself.
was always in his head. The revelation that Kessler was a ghost in Butcher's mind was still echoing when reality kicked the door in. Homelander found a bug. His fury turns on Sage, who, with chilling coldness, ignores him, keeping her focus on the coup. Suspicious and paranoid, Homelander unleashes his own hound. Firecracker is tasked with finding the rat off the books. Meanwhile, Butcher's bombshell
Nice.
finally drops on the boys. He doesn't reveal a plan. He confesses a sin, the virus project with Dr. Shaw held captive. The idea idea of a soup genocide splits the team in two. To make matters worse, Frenchie
cares,
is dragged
bro?
back to perfect a doomsday weapon. Overwhelmed, Mother's Milk throws in the towel on leadership, handing the burden back to a butcher who seems to embrace the darkness. The team was broken. The hunt for Newman's shooter leads Huey and Annie to a blood-chilling discovery. The killer is a shapeshifter. Protecting President Singer
here we
has become
go.
a near impossible mission. At the same time, Mother's Milk faces his own impossible battle, convincing his family to flee the country. But when the time comes, he can't turn his back. Duty chains him to the fight. In a rare moment of peace amid the war, Kimiko opens her heart to Frenchie, revealing a dark trauma from her time with the Shining Light,
Aw.
forging an even stronger bond between them.
How
But the
cute.
calm is a lie. The Deep's personal life implodes in the most bizarre way possible when his octopus lover,
Oh, for
Ambrosius,
fuck's sake.
confronts him about his affair with Sage. The fight ends in a pathetic tragedy.
Oh,
In his
okay.
rage, Deep smashes the aquarium, leaving Ambrosius out of the water. And who was watching from the shadows? Homelander. Now, he doesn't have an ally. He has a broken, loyal Deep completely under his thumb. The attack on
Nice.
the boys' hideout comes fast and hard. The Deep and the new Black
useless
Noir
anyway.
breach the hideout, but they're intercepted by a blue blur. A-Train, the fastest man alive, reveals himself as the true informant before vanishing, leaving behind a trail of chaos and
destroyed the whole
confusion.
place, bro.
At the top of Vought Tower, Homelander's charade crumbles. He discovers that Sage knew about A-Train all along, using him to leak disinformation and manipulate Homelander himself. Blinded by the fury of being used, he fires her. But the boys' downward spiral was far from over. Dr. Shaw attempts a desperate escape, and in the process, injects Kimiko with the unstable
What
virus.
the
She
fuck?
becomes a walking biological weapon, a human time bomb. Shaw dies,
cooked.
leaving behind a functional virus, but one still too weak to take down the king. In the midst of this hell, a single ray of hope emerges when Ryan rejects Vought's brainwashing. For a second, Butcher sees the light. 1 second, because right after he's ambushed, captured, and dragged into the darkness.
Amazing.
January 6th, the day America held its breath. As Butcher wastes away in a hospital bed, haunted by the ghost of himself urging him to embrace genocide, his team races against the clock to stop an assassination. The plan was already insane, but it becomes a nightmare when they discover the threat is already inside. Annie has been replaced by the shapeshifter,
Nice.
who takes audacity to a new level by proposing to Huey. The real Annie, however, is no damsel in
Didn't he
distress.
propose to
She
her?
escapes
Oh.
her captivity and engages in a
No,
brutal
yes.
confrontation with
Who
her
cares?
copy
She's
in the
fat.
presidential bunker. The fight for
Pretty
the
much.
soul of the nation came down to 2 starlights, and the original emerges victorious, thwarting the
Nice.
attack at the last second. In parallel, Mallory and Butcher play their last card, trying to turn Ryan against his father. It backfires spectacularly. Mallory exposes Homelander's filthiest secrets, including the truth about Becca's death, but Ryan sees through the manipulation. He realizes they don't want to save him. They want to use him as a weapon. They want
No
him a soldier,
shit.
but they
With that
created
fucking
a
haircut,
rebel.
you don't deserve to
Ryan
fucking
rebels
live.
and flees, leaving everyone
Old hat.
empty-handed. With the assassination attempt failed, Homelander changes the board. Live on TV, he reveals that Victoria Newman
Live on
is
TV,
a soup
nice.
and begins a bloody purge at Vought, eliminating anyone who could be a threat. Cornered
my
and
God.
exposed, Newman does the unthinkable.
kill everyone
She
at this
calls
point.
Huey, offering to surrender in exchange for her daughter's safety. In an act of faith, or naivety, Huey argues for mercy
Yeah,
and
probably naivety.
convinces the team to accept, keeping a dart with the virus as a life insurance policy. The meeting is set. Peace seemed possible, but it was a trap, just not Newman's trap. Out of nowhere, Butcher appears, fueled by a temporary dose of Compound V and pure hatred. He doesn't negotiate. He doesn't hesitate.
Holy
he executes
shit.
Newman in cold blood. He then steals the refined virus and abandons his friends, declaring a new war. His war against all soups. And then the final curtain is pulled back, revealing the true masterpiece of manipulation. Sage was never fired. Every event, every betrayal, every death was orchestrated by her.
What the
President
fuck?
Singer is framed for Newman's murder. A new president, a puppet, takes power, declares martial law, and gives Homelander
Nice.
total control of a national soup army. Checkmate. The coup was a complete success. As Homelander's forces launch their final hunt for their enemies, Calhoun takes him to a secret location, where Homelander discovers that Soldier Boy is alive and imprisoned. The game isn't over yet.
Amazing. Wow. Wow, man. Wow. You're a monkey.
Muppet.
Well, I guess now we have all 4 seasons in our brains. Wow.
Yep. All blurred into one.
I guess we're ready to watch season 5. Oh man, I can't fucking wait.
Hold on.
Bro, by the way, I remember the final of season 4 when they all drove off with the fucking music, and then they just all like got hunted down by the fucking monkey soups. So
Monkey soup.
I think Butcher is the only one that is out there free. I think all the other ones got captured. So, well, if every monkey enjoyed the reaction, then you should subscribe. If you don't subscribe, like, if you do subscribe, like, you get cookies from Ben, right, Ben? You'll make them cookies, yeah?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Now we have 777 subscribers, so you have to make 777 cookies. So yeah. I mean, maybe everyone gets half a cookie, so you can, make.
Half.
But every new subscriber gets a full cookie, so it's worth it. So do it, or else. So yeah, goodbye to everyone watching. Cookies. Yeah.